Wow, another major protest up in Canada that, for some reason, the corporate media seems not to want to talk about, since, of course, there's a mass awakening against discrimination and, of course, medical tyranny. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into, as, of course, even Ryanair released their own alert level system, mocking the government because someone has been affected with, allegedly, a new variant. So much bullcrap going on. We're going to be talking about that. But before we get into that, plus a lot more, there is a mass awakening happening all over the world. This is video footage coming out of Spain with people chanting liberty. This is Georgia, where another absolutely huge rally has just taken place a few days ago. Buenos Aires, Argentina. Huge crowds coming out together. This is, of course, Lima, Peru, and if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't be made aware of this massive uprising of people who are coming together, hitting the streets, and demanding bodily autonomy, freedom, liberty, the right to privacy, and their basic human rights, which some governments are looking to take away, all in the name of a tragedy that they are exploiting every possible way that they can. This video from Austria, which we showed yesterday from a different angle, as well as all the other cities that we talked about in yesterday's video, is highlighting a significant movement of unorganized unison demonstrations that are happening all over the world, all demanding the same thing. You would think that such an extraordinary event would be newsworthy, but not for the corporate media that, of course, does the bidding for the special interests, the multinational corporations, and, of course, the big banks that are having their way with the citizenry in so many different ways. In Turkey, the people there are being more and more affected by government and banking policy that has printed money out of thin air recklessly, and now they're dealing with inflation to the point where now people are having to deal with bread lines. This, of course, always historically happens, especially when the federal government decides to print more money out of thin air, devaluing the current money that's in circulation, as, of course, Joe Biden just signed a bill taking out another line of credit with the bankers, increasing the United States debt limit, which will allow it to print and borrow more money that, of course, it never has for its cockamamie ideas that will only stop the average person from gaining more money. And with this reckless economic policy, if you think the situation in Turkey can't happen here in the United States, you are not paying attention. This, as one of the biggest financial institutions in the United States, Bloomberg, just told Americans to spend their paycheck immediately and to, quote, borrow lots of money to tackle inflation. Yep, Bloomberg is telling you to, quote, negotiate a pay raise or two to buy a house. This as Americans are facing the highest inflation in over 40 years, and this is only the beginning of many financial problems to come. Only, of course, with the federal government exacerbating the problem every step of the way, coming to an absurd point where some corporate media is saying that even criticizing the president for doing so is, quote, dangerous to our democracy. I'm not kidding you. This is some of the insane talking points purported by the corporate media that, of course, is heavily invested in a lot of the special interests and billionaire class that thrive off of making you unhealthy and unhappy. We're going to be talking about this issue, plus an insane video coming out of France, all specifically on LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up for that, what are you waiting for? We also have Change Media University Apocalypse Survival Training courses, all available for you on LukeUncensored.com. We're going to be doing yet another exclusive, unfiltered video for you, all on LukeUncensored.com. Click the link to find out more information about it right now, because you definitely won't want to miss today's video. Now, as the special interests become richer, as the governments become more powerful, as the average citizen loses their human rights, we have to reach a point where we have to ask ourselves, what in the world are we doing here? Especially when we're learning that South Korea is planning to use facial recognition in order to track people who they think are sick or might be sick, to enable proper social distancing, quarantine measures, and, of course, mask compliance, as, of course, digital AI, artificial intelligence, governmental technocratic systems are being put into place that will create a fully track, trace, and database society that will punish, attack, and limit everyday activities, all on the behest of the all-knowing technology that is going to be ruling our lives. That's a ridiculous barter that I would never make for any guarantees of safety or security, since, of course, historically, the people who do wager their rights, their human rights, for this get neither safety or security. All they get is the lack of their rights. This, as the UK government has just announced that they are going from level 3 to level 4 of increased totalitarianism, upping the alert level one step away from the highest level 5, which would mean a total lockdown and evisceration of people's ability to exist on the streets in public. This, as the UK government is saying that there's a high or rising exponentiality of people getting allegedly sick. This, as government statist bureaucrats are warning that there might be a potential situation where more people will get sick. Now, more people didn't get sick. The government and their lackeys are saying there's a chance that more people might get sick, so that's why we have to restrict and control more of your behavior. This has reached a level of absurdity where even Ryanair released their own version of their government alert system, going from level 3 to 4, categorizing level 3 as booze, snogging, gov in charge of refreshments, to level 4, where they describe Boris topless asking Thatcher's portrait if she comes here often. This, as of course many politicians don't even adhere to the own restrictions that they put on everyday citizens, as they get to do whatever they want. Now, what's the reason why government bureaucrats are saying that there's going to be a lot more people sick? Well, their excuse is the Omicron sickness, which Sky News is reporting that one person has passed away with that specific variant, and specifically not saying of. Now, why is the government saying that someone died with this variant and not of this variant? Raises some particular questions and concerns here, as of course someone dying with this sickness shouldn't be the reason why majority of people are denied basic access to their lives. Now, why are we having these carefully curated propaganda PR talks regurgitated by the corporate media? Why is the government now banning international travel for 12 and 15-year-olds without their government permission in the name of this? When in other places around the world, like in South Africa, where the Omicron variant allegedly came from, their medical professionals and even state bureaucrats are saying that there's no reason to worry. In the United States, the CDC is reporting that 80% of these new Omicron cases were found in people who fully participated, who fully complied, and did the procedure that the government wanted them to take. 80% of them, 80% of the reported Omicron cases were the people who did everything that the government told them to do. This is according to the CDC. That is also reporting that the people who got sick from this variant are dealing with mild symptoms in both the people who complied and the people who didn't comply. There's some medical professionals and institutions even saying that this new variant is one of the best case solutions for the world, since of course it could create a variant that is less lethal, more transmissible, allows people to get natural immunity without any severe consequences, without major hospitalizations being overrun, and it could potentially signal the end of this entire nightmare. Now, this is, of course, some scientific thinking. These are the words of just some scientist. I am not a scientist. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not giving you here any medical advice. But I think it is very fair to say that there has been an overblown, overreaction, fear-mongering campaign when it came to this specific variant, especially with the drastic measures that were imposed in the name of it, as of course corporate media was screaming that there's going to be doom and gloom, major chaos, major deaths as a result of this. And so far, according to many medical professionals, that is not the case here at all. It's quite the opposite. But yet, with 80% of these new cases coming from people who complied, what's the government's response to all of this? Well, they want people to comply even more, especially here in the United States, where the answer to this new variant is to comply with what the government wants you to do. Take the procedure that the government wants you to take, as many governments are now saying you need to comply 3 times to be fully compliant, just like in the United Kingdom, and just like in Germany now, where they announced that booster injections are now offered to people as early as 4 weeks after the first procedure. This is now the official policy in one of the federal states in Germany right now. And many places around the world are saying you need to take 3 shots in order to be fully compliant, which is a little bit much for a lot of people who are asking themselves, wait, what happened to the first time when you promised me everything would go back to normal if I just complied? Many people did, and now they have a lot of very serious questions and concerns about the future and the larger demands of government that are trying to hide data surrounding this procedure for the next 75 years from the general public. That right there signals some bigger problems ahead. You don't need to be a genius to see that. Will this new variant end all of this? Is this the best case scenario? Well, what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I would really appreciate to see your perspective, where you see this going. Do you think this is going to end with this new variant that's going to give everyone natural immunity, or will this mutate, continue, and will this be a never-ending endemic that will never end for us, since of course too many people are benefiting off them? Where do you see things going? I would love to see your perspective, and I legitimately think you could go either way. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. This is why I'm here almost every single day. I got another video coming your way here on LukeUncensored.com. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.